The vanishing of Garrett Bardsley, August 20th, 2004, Cuberant Lake, Utah. The early light of morning filtered through the towering pines of the Uinta Mountains, brushing the alpine lake with a soft, golden hue. The surface of Cuberant Lake, usually a mirror reflecting the blue skies above, shimmered with promise. The air was crisp, fresh with the scent of pine needles and campfire smoke.
Hit like and subscribe. This is Fierce.
For the 18 Boy Scouts and 6 adult leaders who had set up camp just uphill from the lake, it was another perfect day in the wilderness. 12-year-old Garrett Bardsley was one of them. A quiet, kind boy with a bright mind and adventurous spirit, Garrett had been excited about this trip. It was a time to explore, to learn, and to spend quality time with his father, Kevin, who was one of the leaders of the troop. The two had been fishing at the edge of the lake that morning, side by side, casting lines into the clear, cold water. It was a picture-perfect moment between father and son, peaceful, bonding, and innocent. Garrett's shoes were wet, soaked from the morning dew and the icy edges of the lake. Shivering slightly, he told his father that he was going to walk the short distance back to camp to change into dry clothes. Kevin nodded. The trail was well marked. Garrett had already walked it several times the day before. It was no more than 250 feet to the tents. A straight shot. A boy like Garrett, smart and sure-footed, should have been back in minutes. But Garrett never returned. At first, Kevin wasn't concerned. Maybe Garrett had stopped to talk with some of the other scouts. Maybe he'd gotten distracted, changed into warm socks, and sat down to warm up. But after 20 minutes passed, a pit began to grow in Kevin's stomach. He reeled in his line, stood, and headed back toward camp himself. What greeted him wasn't reassurance, it was confusion. Garrett wasn't there. None of the boys had seen him. No one had heard him approach. His gear was untouched. He hadn't changed clothes. It was as if he had vanished between the lake and the tents, on a trail so short you could shout across it. Panic set in. Kevin's calls for Garrett grew louder, more urgent. Soon, every adult and boy was combing the area, checking behind trees, calling his name, retracing steps. It wasn't long before someone radioed for help. By that afternoon, the Utah authorities had launched a full-scale search and rescue operation. The search, foot teams, horse teams, helicopters, a TV's thermal imaging, fixed-wing aircraft, bloodhounds. Every resource imaginable was called in to find the boy who had supposedly only walked a few dozen yards and disappeared. At first, hope ran high. This was a 12-year-old boy. He hadn't gone far. Maybe he'd gotten turned around or lost track of the trail. Maybe he was hunkered down somewhere, scared. As the sun dipped low behind the mountains, volunteers kept working, some through the night. The next day brought more searchers. Hundreds joined the effort. Rangers, law enforcement, trained trackers, local volunteers. Every inch of the surrounding forest was combed, again and again. Calls rang out through the trees every few minutes. "Garrett! Garrett, it's Dad! Call out if you can hear us." Nothing. The terrain, it turned out, was unforgiving. Dense underbrush, steep granite ridges, boulder fields that went on for miles, sections where GPS signals failed and even trained adults lost their bearings. It was beautiful, but brutal. And still, no sign of Garrett. The sock in the rocks. Then came the first and only clue. Roughly half a mile from where Garrett was last seen, in an area thick with jagged rocks and pine trunks, a searcher stumbled upon something small, nearly insignificant. A sock, wet, wadded up, pressed between stones in a narrow boulder field. But this wasn't just any sock. It was a Nike brand, just like the ones Garrett had been wearing. The Bardsleys confirmed it. It looked like it had been taken off voluntarily. There were no signs it had been torn off, no blood, no animal fur, just a sock left behind. The discovery only deepened the mystery. Why would Garrett, who had only planned to change shoes and come right back, end up half a mile away in rugged, pathless terrain? Why leave behind one sock? Had he taken it off due to an injury, blisters, waterlogging? And why was there nothing else? No second sock, no shirt, no food wrappers, no prints, no clothing trail, no body, endless questions, no answers. As days turned into a week, hope gave way to horror. Hundreds of square miles had been searched, by foot, air, and scent. Yet aside from the sock, there was nothing. Not even a single broken branch that could confidently be tied to Garrett's path. Theories began to circulate. Some believed Garrett had gotten turned around and, in a panic, moved further and further from camp, deep into the wilderness until he collapsed from exhaustion or injury in a place too remote to be found. Others feared the worst. Had Garrett been taken? Could someone have been lurking in those woods, an abductor watching for a moment of opportunity? Kevin had seen Garrett leave. He was there one moment, gone the next. Could someone have snatched him within seconds? Or was it an animal? Mountain lions and bears did roam the region, but even in predation cases there are signs. Tracks, drag marks, fur, blood. There had been none. And then there were stranger rumors, hidden mine shafts, sudden medical episodes, even the supernatural. None had evidence. All were fueled by desperation. And eventually, after 9 agonizing days, the official search was called off. A family that refused to quit. But Kevin and Garrett Bardsley didn't stop. How could they? Their son was still out there. For months, the Bardsleys returned to the lake again and again, hiking the same trails, calling out Garrett's name. Volunteers joined them, scouts, friends, even strangers moved by the case. As seasons changed, so did the tactics, searching with snowshoes, waiting for thawing snowpack to reveal something. Anything. But the forest was silent. The wilderness did not give Garrett back. Garrett's case was covered on America's Most Wanted, Disappeared, and other national media. He became one of Utah's most haunting unsolved missing children cases. Year after year, on anniversaries of his vanishing, articles would appear, tips would come in, theories would resurface, but they all led to dead ends. The Bardsleys eventually started a foundation in Garrett's name, raising awareness for other families of missing children and supporting search and rescue efforts. Their pain was channeled into action, but the void remained. There was no closure, no goodbye, just a 12-year-old boy who walked away from a lakeside trail and stepped into legend. Today, hikers still visit Cuberant Lake. Its waters are just as still, its trees just as green, and its ridgelines just as imposing. For those who don't know the story, it's a paradise. But for those who do, there's something else. A tension in the wind, a chill in the silence. The knowledge that a child once vanished here, without struggle, without witness, without reason. Parents who hike with their children now hold their hands a little tighter. They scan the tree lines more often. And every now and then someone might pause and look over their shoulder, half expecting to hear a faint voice in the woods. But the only answer is wind, and the whisper of a name that has never stopped being called. Garrett. He was only 12 years old and he is still missing.